Welcome, everyone. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here for this explainer. Today, we're diving into a concept that is quite literally the bedrock of modern artificial intelligence. We're talking about exploratory data analysis, or EDA. You know, building a machine learning model on raw, unexplored data is exactly like building a beautiful multi-story house on a shaky, cracked foundation. Sure, it might look great for a minute, but the second you put it under pressure in the real world, it's going to collapse. Before an AI ever starts learning, we have to deeply understand what it's actually learning from.
Okay, let's look at our blueprint for today. We're going to cover the crucial first steps, the tools of the trade, cleaning our data, uncovering those hidden patterns, tackling the absolutely critical issue of bias, and finally, getting our data ready for production. Let's jump right in.
Starting with Phase 1 of our building project. Section 1, the crucial first step.
So why do we even need to examine raw data in the first place? Well, just like a doctor wouldn't prescribe medicine without examining the patient first, throwing unexamined data at an algorithm guarantees failure. As this quote from IBM points out, identifying the right datasets right from the start is your true competitive advantage. Data isn't just a generic fuel you pour into an engine, it needs careful curation and understanding from day one.
When we break down the actual definition of machine learning, there's a phrase right in the middle that's super important, depending on human intervention. We kind of tend to think of AI as this autonomous magic box that does everything itself, but it relies heavily on us. That human intervention is exactly where exploratory data analysis comes in. We have to be the ones guiding the system.
Before we even touch the algorithms, we've got to securely split our data into three distinct buckets. Think of it like a student taking a class. You need a training set to actually teach the model, a validation set, like a practice quiz, to verify it's learning the right things, and a completely unseen testing set, which is the final exam, to evaluate real-world performance. If you don't build this stable foundation, your model will just memorize the answers instead of truly learning.
With that conceptual foundation set, let's grab our hard hats and move on to Section 2, the Data Explorer's Toolkit.
If you're working in Python, which most data scientists do, your toolkit looks like this interconnected set of libraries. NumPy handles all the heavy mathematical lifting. Pandas is literally your best friend for data manipulation and cleaning. And then you've got Matplotlib and Seaborn for visualizing the data. Because let's be real, you can't just stare at thousands of rows of numbers and expect to spot a trend. You need these visual libraries to actually see the hidden structures. Finally, scikit-learn brings in the actual machine learning algorithms.
All right, we have our tools. Now it's time to get our hands dirty in Section 3, cleaning and pre-processing data. Real-world data is messy. You're always going to have missing values. Let's say you're looking at a data set of house prices and some square footage numbers are just completely missing. The easiest thing is to just delete those rows, right? But data's precious. We want to save those observations. So we have two common ways to fill in the gaps. Mean imputation, where we just plug in the average square footage, or regression imputation, which is a bit smarter and tries to predict that missing value based on other things we already know, like the number of bedrooms.
And this brings us to why handling noise and outliers is so absolutely crucial. When you compare box plots from models handling low noise versus high noise, the difference is wild. High noise in your dataset drastically pumps up the error values across different model predictions. If you don't clean out those crazy outliers during your EDA phase, your model is going to chase that random noise instead of finding the real underlying signal.
Ultimately, cleaning our data is all about balancing the bias-variance trade-off. We want our model in that perfect sweet spot. If it's too simple, it has high bias and totally ignores the true shape of the data. But if it's too sensitive to all the messy noise we forgot to clean up, it has high variance and completely fails when you put it in the real world. Proper EDA sets us up for that perfect balance.
Let's move to Section 4, Uncovering Hidden Patterns. Once the cracks are fixed, we can actually uncover the deep architecture of our data. Sometimes, we just have way too much data. Too many columns or dimensions for a model to process efficiently. That's where visual tools like a scree graph come in handy. It helps us perform dimensionality reduction by showing us how much meaningful information, or variance, is captured by a smaller set of combined features. It essentially tells us which features actually matter and which ones are just redundant. So how does that process work in practice? First, we identify those redundant inputs. Then, we use techniques like principal component analysis, or PCA, to mathematically squish those dimensions down into a smaller, much more powerful set. By modeling our data in this simpler space, we drastically reduce the computational load and make the model way more robust against outliers. We're basically distilling the data set down to its absolute purest essence.
Now, the next point we have to address is absolutely vital. Section 5, mitigating algorithmic bias.
Look, you can have the most beautifully coded algorithm in the world, but if you feed it biased data, it's going to discriminate. It's that simple. There are two major sources of this. Historical data bias happens when the training data just reflects past societal inequalities, which we've seen happen in biased hiring or credit scoring systems. And then there are imbalanced data sets, where groups are unequally represented. That's what leads to those well-documented, terrible errors in facial recognition technology for minority groups.
And bias isn't just one single thing. It sneaks in everywhere. It can come through the raw data itself, through flaws in how the algorithm is designed, through human biases during development, or even later during deployment. If we aren't actively hunting for it during our exploratory data analysis, we are going to end up amplifying it.
That is exactly why we have to actively engineer fairness into the system. Bias mitigation isn't just a one-time checklist you take off. It requires constant effort. Things like data augmentation during collection, reweighing data during feature engineering, and running rigorous bias audits throughout evaluation and deployment. Fairness has to be a continuous engineering effort.
Finally, our data is clean, explored, dimensions are reduced, and biases are mitigated. It is time for Section 6, preparing for production.
To manage this perfectly prepped data in our newly trained models, we rely on a discipline known as MLOps. Think of MLOps as the ultimate property management system for our newly built data house. It brings the strict rigor of software DevOps into the machine learning world, making sure our models don't just run nicely on our local laptops, but actually function reliably out there in the wild at scale.
MLOps proves that keeping track of your data doesn't just magically stop once the model is deployed. It's a continuous loop. We have to version our data sets using tools like DVC or Delta Lake so we know exactly what data trained what model. We automate our quality checks using CI/CD pipelines. And once it's deployed, we constantly monitor the model's accuracy with tools like Prometheus and Grafana. Why all this intense monitoring? Because unlike regular software, machine learning models usually don't crash with a big loud error message. Instead, they fail quietly. They suffer from data drift, where the incoming real-world data starts looking completely different from the training data, or they suffer from concept drift, where the actual fundamental relationship changes over time as human behavior shifts. Constant monitoring is non-negotiable if you want to catch these quiet failures.
We've covered a ton of ground today, from finding the cracks in our foundation to engineering fairness and monitoring for drift. So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Knowing what you know now about all the hidden traps, the noise, and the biases lurking in raw data sets, is your data truly ready to learn? Never blindly trust raw data again. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.